to TiffDoesLoans Podcast. So today I have Kevin Whitney. How are you?
Doing good. How are you?
Good. So he is a real estate agent with
Harcourts Blue Water.
Yeah. Harcourts Blue Water in Newport.
It's a mouthful.
Yeah. I'm like, why can't I have two letters? No.
HBW.
Yes, HBW. Okay, perfect. So they are located in Newport, and Kevin, you're usually just all around Orange County is the main.
All around Orange County, a little bit of periphery, but
Yeah.
you know, I like to stay.
But mainly
stay local.
Newport.
Yeah.
I get it. I don't like to leave the beach either. I do not leave my bubble. Maybe the most to come here or to see my parents.
Right.
Other than that, it's like I'm there.
Yeah.
I do not leave my bubble anymore. So why don't we just start, tell us about your journey, what kind of led you into real estate, and then also you are a veteran advocate.
Mm-hmm.
So I just, that is a big part of my business too, and that's actually what we started talking about. I think that's where we really hit it off. So just kind of start by telling us that journey and how you got started.
Yeah, so the Cliff Notes version, I was in the Navy for 4 years.
Thank you for serving.
You're welcome. Thanks for your service, or thanks for your support. I was military police, and I joined because I wanted to be in law enforcement, and quickly realized that I didn't want to be in law enforcement after I was doing it.
Wait, so military police?
Yeah, so just
but in the Navy?
Yeah, so each branch actually has their own law enforcement job. Yeah, so for
but you're only
police,
casing them?
Yeah, just military. Yeah, so our jurisdiction is only service members and dependents and things like that. So on base.
So it's kind of what are they, internal affairs, if the police department?
Yeah, it's each base has their own police department.
Okay.
Yeah.
So and you did that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I quickly realized that the kind of shift work wasn't for me.
Yeah.
And which is funny because when I got out, I was thinking, okay, what am I going to do? And I went in. I said, okay, well, I want to go into healthcare because that was what drove me to want to do law enforcement, was just service and helping people. Mm-hmm. So I said, okay, well, I kind of have a passion for healthcare. So I went in. I was studying to be a doctor and did the whole pre-med route.
Yeah.
So did pre-med, did the MCAT, did the applications.
You did all of that?
Yeah, all of that.
God.
Yeah, so pre-med degree.
You've had 3 different, these are intense. These are very educated, these are very intense careers that you've been going into. Okay, continue.
Undergrad was intense, with the biochemistry and the physics.
What type of, for healthcare, what type of doctor?
I just wanted to be a family care practitioner, and open up my own practice, and because I've always kind of had that entrepreneurial spirit from a young age, so I just wanted to open up my own thing and be my own boss in that way. Mm-hmm. So long story short, I met my wife shortly after I got out, and we got married while I was still in my undergrad, and we found out we were expecting.
Okay.
And I had just applied to medical schools, and it was one of those which way do I go? What do I do? Do I want to be a dad and be in medical school and residency?
And that's going to take up a lot of time, right?
I'm not going to be there for my family, and for my kids. So I decided that I wanted to go into real estate. My brother was doing real estate in Vegas and doing very well, and I called him up and said, hey, we're going to have a baby, and I don't think I'm going to go the medical route anymore. What do you think about me going into real estate? He's like, yeah, you're way more social than me, and I'm doing well. I think you'd be great. He's like, you got a good head on your shoulders, and you know how to talk to people, you know how to connect with people. So, we just went from there, got my license, just started. My first clients were veterans. I met them at the veterans clubs at my undergrad at Long Beach City College and Cal State Long Beach. So my first 2 years was mostly helping buddies buy with their VA home loan. And then started doing more networking, intentional networking, and meeting people. and started getting more cold business and referrals from the sphere.
Yeah.
And then I realized that I wanted to go out on my own, so I got my broker's license, and started a Whitney Realty, my own brokerage, and had a couple agents that hang their license with me that still do actually. Yeah. Started a property management division, and then just recently, the Harcourts Blue Water move was very recent last year. I really wanted to, I really believe in the auction platform that Harcourts Blue Water, or Harcourts has.
Yeah.
And just wanted to shift and try to kind of get into the more luxury market.
Okay.
And while still servicing my clients and doing all the things, but just trying to change it up a little bit and see if I can, get into that higher echelon of home values.
Did you say auction?
Yeah.
Okay, so do they work a lot with like auctions?
Yeah, so we do. So Harcourts is the only brokerage that can do auctions in-house.
Yeah.
Plenty of Harcourts agents do both traditional and auction. Not every property is going to be right for auction.
Yeah.
But
so what would that entail? What do you do with the auction?
Yeah, so an auction listing is generally for the higher price point homes that are may have sellers that are a little unrealistic about expectations of price, as well as for properties that are hard to comp out and kind of hard to find that. What is that? If there's something like
it, right. Or around the area, then and that's you guys pretty much run everything on comps.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I've definitely had deals totally postponed, or like we can't. The appraiser is taking forever because we can't. Yeah. We can't figure out like the value.
Exactly.
Okay. So if we can't figure that out, then you guys take that.
And there's some properties that. Even if it would do very well selling traditional, the seller and the agent talk about that auction may just be a better route in terms of, because it's such an intensive marketing process. It's there's no showings outside the open house. It's very data driven.
It's more like a numbers game. It sounds like more like, because you're going to have...
It's intense.
Yeah, it sounds
very intense.
But it takes out all of, I guess more of like an investor type. It's like, takes out more the emotion of like
and it's very transparent. So in the auction platform, the whole kind of philosophy is that it's transparent, that buyers can see that if they're bidding on a property, they know that if they won that property, they won by they know what the last bid was. So traditionally when we're listing a property, right, you have buyers agents and buyers putting in offers. Well, they have no idea what the other offers are unless you do some sort of escalation clause, which a lot of agents don't like.
The only thing that I would be a little concerned about, like when in an auction, would be like, where are they going to start it at? Yeah. Like, are they starting it like 100,000 below? Like,
it's usually, or good point.
Or is it at the value?
So
and now you're just throwing, now you're just throwing extra.
Yeah, so that's the thing though too, is so it's generally the starting bid or the floor price.
The starting bid
is going to be lower than what it's going to be, right?
Okay.
And
like by 100,000, 200,000?
Probably a couple $100,000. Generally, it could shift. But
I mean, then that's definitely like, it could be a little risky, but at the same time, you could, if there's not a lot of people there bidding on it.
Yeah. But if you have a good agent and who's representing the buyer, and the buyer, even if they've never done this type of process before, they're very much schooled up and they know what's going on and how to do the process.
That's pretty cool.
But the transparency is really what I like, is that that you're not overpaying by $300,000 from the last from the next buyer that offers below you.
Yeah, especially like 2021, you were licensed in, right? Like, oh my gosh.
25 offers
21,
on every property.
75 offers out here. Like, it was wild.
Hundreds of thousands
and
over
just
asking.
people putting, and we couldn't even the tricky thing is that even though people were putting like 20% plus down, or like 20% down, we still couldn't get them like the appraisal waivers because the purchase prices were like way above what the comps, what any system read. So that was, so then they had to get those too, and then they were coming in low. So that was a different time.
So you're just throwing out your buyer, you and your buyer just throwing out offers, desperate to just buy something. And you have no idea what the last offer price was of the other buyer. So
unless you have like some agents give them, but not really, huh?
So that's kind of just
that's why you gotta have your homie agents. Like, come on, Tony. Like, where are we at? Like, do we have a shot here? Like, that's
right. That's a big thing that I do is create rapport with the agents I work with. Doing basic things like communication, responsiveness, answering your phone.
Even like as a loan officer, I've won my clients' deals from a listing agent because I was the only one who answered my phone.
I'll answer my phone and people will say, "Wow, thank you for answering your phone." I'll say, "Well, that's my job."
But it's wild
because it's the little things you can do, like confirming it you received an email, answering your phone. That's the basics.
Even if you don't, I'm at the point too, and I have been through the process. I used to work for a big retail for the first couple years. So now I'm on the broker side, so it's very different. But on that side, it's more like a sweatshop. Like calls are just coming in. And that place, it was more like I needed to be available. But I have won a couple of them by just, if I, like, everything would be forwarded to us. But if I just pick up, and I've won quite a few. Absolutely. I feel like transparency, all of these things. And you being at this place with auctions is cool. I haven't really like gone into that. So do you offer that with, like, is that like an option when you present to lists?
So,
like that they get?
So every listing appointment.
Do most of the other brokers you said don't do this?
So Harcourts North America is the only brokerage that can do this under the DRE. There's outside auction houses that you can, do an auction for your home, but we're the only DRE brokerage that can do it. So.
And then so you have talked about your first deals were veterans. So what was this transition here? Like, is it like what inspired you to kind of lean into them? How was the transition when you got out of, left the VA and?
It was okay getting out of the military. You do a couple quick little like how to survive in civilian world. I was 23.
When you left?
When I got out, So I was 19, joined.
Did you use your VA loan when you were in there?
So when I started taking college courses while I was in the military online, which I didn't, which was, you don't have to tap into your VA GI Bill yet. You can just request to get them paid for, essentially. So I started taking college courses in the military. I got out. I knew I wanted to go straight to school. And then you have the GI Bill, which is a fantastic benefit. Basically pays your tuition and gives you a housing stipend. And that's very helpful for vets. However, it can be a big problem if veterans don't have someone to help guide them and show them the right way to use their GI Bill. Because a lot of my buddies, unfortunately, I was in Long Beach, right? So the stipend is very high. This housing stipend you get every month to your bank account, it's a couple $1,000s, right? So they're, instead of being very intentional about what degree they want and picking their courses. They're just going to school to basically collect the GI Bill, the money, the stipend.
Yeah.
Which I understand, because it's, you know, it's expensive to live in Long Beach. Mm-hmm. A lot of these guys have families. But what sucks is once they run out of their credits and once they run out of the GI Bill, they're left without a degree because they didn't have that guide and mentorship to guide them and say, okay, well, what's your route? What are you going to do when you graduate? You know, so that could be better. There could be better mentorship and guidance. And I actually just, there's something in the making right now. We just started last year to help veterans who are exactly right in that spot. Yeah. Of getting out, finding what career they want to do. Maybe they just started at a city college, but we're trying to build something so that we could come in and help guide. And it'll be like different professions. So like if someone's interested in real estate, right? I would come in and I would help be a mentor to them. Yeah. So that would have been really cool to have. Yeah. Yeah.
No, and I love all that, and I'm working on right now, like doing webinars and being a resource because there's so many things, and I've seen it. So even a lot of people that have been in it for years, and it's like, wait, like why didn't you purchase years ago? Yeah. Yep. The education with the VA, with the you should have used your VA loan, and then. Especially for people years ago, like we're already here in the higher rates, but the VA is still going to be lower for them, and they don't have like there's so many little things that they are not the same as like the other traditional loans. Conventional, like the debt to income, like technically we just have to approve in the system. Yeah. So technically it's not like 58, like I've had one approve at like 80 DTI, but he had a very strong like profile. He had like 4 properties, stuff like this. Yeah. So as long as it approves in there, so some people are like, no, I have too much, you know, so they're also with the loan limits. Yeah. Yeah. We don't go off the loan limits. The credit scores. Yeah. I have a question for you. Mm-hmm. Do you find that a lot of your veteran borrowers are putting 0 down here in Orange County? Yes. Okay. Almost all. I've had some do, honestly, and I've closed a lot of, really at that other place. Mm-hmm. I in like 2 years, I did close like 85 loans with them. Wow. And the majority were veterans and first-time homebuyers. Okay. Or married couples, not first-time homebuyers. Yeah. Married couples and veterans. Okay. So, no, so they're all doing 0 down. Okay. I usually recommend, I mean, but that's the thing. Even though they have the 0 down, some had money stacked a little bit, but a lot didn't. Right. So I find most don't. That most don't. So that's the other thing of where I definitely wanted to get into more presentations, get into more webinars, and you know, since they don't have the mortgage insurance, they do have the 0 down, but ways for them to build, you know, more of that equity using the loan before they get out. Yeah. So if they could save, I could be like, hey, if you could save like X amount that we need in your reserves, now you can get like a 2 to 3 unit out here. Yeah. You can rent out the other ones. You can live in one. And now by the time you get out of, you know, you get out of the military or whichever one that you're in, once you get out of there and now you want to get a family, now you have that home. Yeah. Now it's going to be all investment. Yeah. And then you can take equity out of there and then go get your primary with your family. Yeah. So I feel like I want to get them, you know, get them more when they're in there and see what the options could be to set them up for success when they get out. Yeah. And I mean, that's kind of the same thing, you know, when you're saying like more having people don't just put the time in when they're about to exit. Yeah. because then, they get out and they're struggling and,
Yeah.
depending on what happened there or what didn't,
Yeah.
or, it's like everyone's story is different.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just feel like there's got to be a better way, that we got to be able to get in there and get them more, just like anything else. You want to get more prepared.
Yeah.
Like let's stop looking at like, where's the root?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what if we give the information here instead of there?
Right.
Because now they have time when they do have stipends and they have rent paid for, then they can get school. They can do these things.
I think it's in the officer population, because I come from enlisted, right? So just enlisted, no degree, just joined out of high school.
At like 18?
Yeah, right when I turned 19.
Okay.
In the officer population, it's these officers, they have degrees. They're they're older.
Yep.
Enlisted, it's tough because one, enlisted aren't really making much money. Very little, very little in the military. But I really like what you said about changing the thinking from just, I want to buy a house, to, well, what if I bought a duplex or a triplex, or because you can buy with that with a VA loan, right?
Yeah.
And people don't know that or think about that.
You do need
it's
some
hard to
reserves
unlock
for that. Yeah. So that's why it's like we need to get with them sooner.
Yeah.
But even if you get another buddy in there or something, we can figure out some way to where you guys are both, building some income and adding that income, that additional income, while they're also getting that. So now they're surviving better. And then after, it's like, especially if they're in there for a couple of years and they don't tap into it.
Yep.
If you're appreciating in California, you're going to have a whole lot. There's the way that it's been going after 4 years, they should have at least, I don't know, it's been going up like 5 to 7%.
Yeah.
Like a good, maybe let's just say 7.
Yeah.
So that's still like 28%, over a period of time. So
Yeah, the reason I ask about the zero down is,
do you see that?
I'm not seeing it. I saw it a lot more when I first got into real estate, when prices were reasonable, But with especially in Orange County, like my buddies that come to me and they're dual income, they're dual income, making decent money, maybe 150 to 200, which for Orange County
that's
is
really good. Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
But if you want a single family home,
it's actually really good. It's sad that
everywhere
it
else in the U.S. that's an amazing income,
it.
right? But in Orange County, if you want a single family home,
I think it's like 270 is what you need, or 240 or something is
to afford
average.
a house.
Yes,
right?
the affordability.
Yeah, so it's hard because yes, the VA home loan is amazing. It's a great benefit. But in Orange County, with the prices that they are, I see a lot of my buddies, especially if they don't have a disability rating and they can't get that funding fee knocked off, not going VA, even though they are veterans.
Yeah.
They're going with other options because it's really hard for anyone to put zero down on a property here in Orange County right now.
Wait, like put zero? Because then they have like that full loan amount.
If you're $1.2 million
with their
home,
with their like DTI.
Yeah, you got a $1.2 million loan. Right?
Yeah.
And it's just.
I also do loans in other.
Yeah. Okay.
But most of them this year were California, and they were veterans.
Yeah.
But they were like in between. I think most of them are like 600 or 650.
Which is.
So it was like really. It was outside of like Camp Pendleton.
Yeah. So that's
which is reasonable.
That's reasonable. That's still. You can still afford a mortgage with zero down on $600,000.
Yeah. And they sold their one from the other base,
Gotcha.
like toward 29
Palms. Yeah. So it's just I think it just and this is a whole other conversation we'd have for a whole other podcast, but affordability and we talked about earlier, right, with the the Fed artificially lowering rates after COVID, and then prices just skyrocketing.
Yeah.
And they still are because people aren't selling. Inventory is extremely low because us getting into the market.
Most people don't have most people don't have a mortgage.
Well,
it's like
or
48%,
they have a very, very,
or
very low mortgage.
So it's like, it's either 46 or 48% that have no mortgages.
Oh, wow.
And then it's, I think we're at like 30, I think in between like 24 and like 30% are in 3 to 4% mortgages.
Yeah.
So that is why our inventory is so low.
The sales I did last year were, for the majority, were death, divorce, or moving out of state.
Yeah.
Right? People that, it's like people that have to sell.
And right now we're hitting a place of like, they still have not been relieved. We're in the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
They're still back up there. We went back up.
Yeah, we're up again.
We're back up to where we were most of 2024. At like 7.5.
Yeah.
We went back higher.
Mm-hmm.
So now that we're higher again, it's like this is going to keep, like, I don't think the prices are going to be going down anytime soon.
Either. No.
And I just feel like we thought that we would get a little bit of a break, and we haven't yet.
Yeah.
And it's getting to a point where I know a lot of people don't want to make moves in those lower mortgages, but with the high credit card debt and all of these things, there is going to be, I think this year, because I think we're at, if you look at like a cup of water or something, like it's getting to the seal of like people have, now the credit card companies are up to like 31%. Trump said that he's going to cap it at 10% when he gets in office, which will be nice. A nice relief.
Yeah.
However, there's still tons and tons of debt of these 28%. Yeah. So I do believe that this year what we're going to see is a lot of people are going to have to start either refinancing, consolidating, then they're going to get out of that rate where they've been, and now maybe even they'll sell. Right. And maybe if they're able to afford, but I do believe that since they're still so high, we're about to hit that shift, because it's getting to a point where they won't be able to. Some people have a ton of debt, and they're trying to hold on to those small rates. Right. But eventually something's got to give.
Well, I think people.
So I think they're gonna have to take either refi, start doing cash out. Yeah. Then that will open up more inventory, or they're gonna start purchasing investments. I don't know. I think some moves are going to have to happen this year because of this.
Well, that's what I saw last year with, everyone thought the Fed signaled they were going to drop rates a couple times last year.
6 times. What did they do?
Yeah,
once.
Yeah. But what I saw was people just being, they kind of like face the music of rates, right? Yeah. Like, especially buyers. They're like, okay, if I want to buy something, I need to buy.
You have to buy.
I can't. I'm not going to wait. You can't wait for rates to drop to a level that they think is passable. Right?
If you could afford it, if it works for your family, if this is your goal, just like any other goal, if it's your goal, you may have to be uncomfortable. Yeah. For a year or two.
Yeah,
it's like starting a business. It's like, look, you're gonna have to sacrifice. You might be eating noodles, okay, for 2 years, but then you're gonna be eating on a boat one day, okay? So I think it's like the mindset of.
Well, and it's
what kind of goal do you have?
It's having real estate advisors in your corner, lenders and agents. There are plenty of clients that we're waiting for rates to get down to levels that their buddies are at, 3 and 4% that bought in 2021.
It's not going to happen,
It's not going to happen, and that's exactly what I told them. I said, look, it's if you can do the payment, right? If you can cover the payment mostly comfortably, right? The mortgage payment. Prices aren't going to go down, right? Because even if rates drop a bit,
a lot of people are waiting on that, but I haven't really understood that. A lot of people are saying that.
I don't think it's based off anything.
I don't think it's based off anything.
I think it's just hoping that the prices are going to drop.
Because I haven't seen or heard
some bubble's going to burst. Right? Yeah.
Or any economist has really said that either. I just don't see the housing prices going down, especially in California, because
way.
the more supply and demand,
yeah.
the moment the rates go down a little bit,
buyers are hopping right in, and
they're gonna
buy
yeah.
properties.
But I think that everybody just needs to be with their team, and I've been like urging that. Like, look, you have to be with your partners, because even last year, however, even though we only had that like one big drop,
yeah,
there was a good 3 to 4 windows where I was still getting people in like 5% throughout the year that weren't really known, or, you know, some of the lenders, their pricing still shifts and changes as numbers change and fluctuate. So I was still able to get in these, I call them little windows.
Yeah.
There's usually one in January, which I have not seen yet, but I'm waiting for the email, like, pricing got better today. Been waiting for it. And then I text my list of clients like, hey, today we're looking at this, like, do you want to move forward?
Yeah.
But I feel like some still manage to get 5.625 in rates in full purchases. You just have to be ready to go, and there are windows throughout the year. So I feel like that's most important. Be with your team, keep cruising.
Keep tabs, and just having good advisors like you and I.
And just, do not wait. If it's a goal, because I like to build like the roadmaps.
Yeah. Like,
where are you at? Like, let's not panic.
Right.
And even if you are at a low credit score, because I always think of them like, even if it is, it's not impossible. You're just going to it's going to be a longer road. It's going to be a harder path.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a client right now, a veteran, who's in credit repair, right?
Yeah.
But that's what needs to happen, right?
Yeah.
Because we want to get him, rates are at a point where, every point matters, right?
Yeah.
So if we can spend 3 months and do some credit repair, it's worth it.
Yeah.
So.
And for them too, it's not, yes, the score still matters, because absolutely, like, the higher it is, we're probably going to be able to get you a little better pricing.
Yeah.
But I do have one lender that we signed up with this year, and I like chased them down, because even at like 500, they don't hit our borrowers with for the pricing.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
They're the only ones that, and
fantastic.
we probably are partnered with like 27 different lenders, you know? But they have been phenomenal. But it wasn't like what I've seen before with like these pricing hits.
Yeah.
Cause I refuse to do that. Hit any veteran with like a bunch of, one time I did a manual underwrite, and it was like 2%. I was like, I'm not going to call this veteran right now. Like $40,000.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's not going to happen. So, but absolutely. Okay. So what should they be in this market? Like, as crazy as it's been, coming, we're just in the new year. So what are you kind of seeing and in Orange County? And then do you think that they will be able to, like, are you seeing seller credits? Are you seeing houses sit on the market to maybe we could ask for seller credits? Because I am definitely the loan officer that I'm always like, don't cut the price.
Yeah. Okay.
Try to get the seller credits.
Right.
So then I can either use it to buy down their rate or what have you.
Yeah.
But what are you seeing there?
Homes in Orange County, if they're priced well, they're going off the market.
Yeah.
Inventory is just so low.
Yeah.
In terms of seller credits, last year.
Do you get them for your veterans though? I feel like I always get
Sometimes, we ask. We always ask, right? Because I'm a big fan of, if you don't ask, then you never know.
Only miss shots you don't take.
Exactly. So ask.
That's what I am.
Yeah, especially the veterans,
Especially.
asking to help with some closing costs.
And I feel like the majority do, because you never know, their brother might have been in it, or
absolutely.
Something is in their heart. Yeah.
I have had veterans clients get their offer accepted because they're
a veteran.
Because the seller was a retired colonel.
Yep.
And he would love to see his home go to a veteran.
Yep.
So we're the whole buyer letter thing and that controversy, but I absolutely, when I'm talking to the listing agent, I'm advocating for my client in every way I can, including, letting them know that this is, they're a veteran, what branch they are, because you just never know.
Yeah.
Even my home in Mission Viejo, the only reason my wife and I got it, because I'm a Navy veteran, and the seller was a career Navy officer. We were up against, this was 2020, by the way, madness. So we were up against like 6 offers.
And everybody, all the conventionals and the cash offers were probably so
mad.
There were
investors. They were,
but they were probably so mad.
Yeah, absolutely.
How did we lose? Like, because he fought for our country.
They had better offers. And it just happened.
But it doesn't, that's the thing, it doesn't always matter.
Yeah,
like,
people want to support veterans.
And I've had that before where they're like, well, or should we put that in the offer? Like, just make the offer. Like, you never know what the seller, what they may have been through. It's just like, there are so many emotions that people have that are tied to certain things. And just because not everybody is like an investor.
Right.
Some people look at real estate like numbers, totally understand.
Sure.
But the majority of purchases in real estate, granted, yes, there's a lot, most of them are investors, but other than that, it's like, it's emotional.
It's totally
emotional.
Yeah.
It is. That's where they raised their kids. That's where they, did all these things.
Yeah.
So just like the buy of it, when they live there, even when they're selling it, that emotion, they want to. I think it's almost like, who is going to live in my house?
Yeah.
It's like almost like they're picking. Like, some people probably don't care, but I feel like some they want to make sure that like a good human or a good heart is going to like live in their home. I don't know.
Yeah.
You'll probably know that more.
I agree. No, it's of course, it's always the
or the money. Maybe right now it's more the money.
It's the money, but it's also like trying to, the fair housing and discrimination and things like that. That's always.
Did they
that's
stop
always
the
very
letters
fun.
out here?
You can still do letters.
But you can't put a picture, right?
No, I wouldn't put a picture.
I heard that you can't.
You can do letters.
We used to.
You just it's when you sign the listing agreement, you.
But I remember that being that probably got pushed back on like 2021, right?
It was a
or
couple years ago.
Yeah.
There was a lawsuit about discrimination.
Yeah. So I think it's like no photos.
Yeah.
But
some brokers, like some broker policies, just says no letters at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you don't want the drama.
Yeah, it's just kind of putting yourself out there, like the liability.
Yeah. So just have the conversation.
Just have a conversation with the agent.
Yeah.
So.
Just let them know the bullet points.
Yeah.
I feel like they'd rather have that anyways.
Yeah.
Okay, so final question here.
Yeah.
What is your advice to, like, how do they best prepare and for this year?
Okay, so like just clients in general, buyers and sellers?
Yeah, I would say buyers.
Okay.
Yeah, probably do buyers first
Okay.
and then sellers.
Okay. Yeah, like we talked about, I don't think prices are gonna drop.
Yeah.
Not this year. And maybe, they will eventually, but I don't think anytime soon. So my advice to buyers is if you can afford the payment, at the rates they are now, I never promise rates are going to drop, right?
Mm-hmm.
The whole like date the rate thing. It's more of if you're comfortable with the rates they are when you can afford the payment, without being house poor, right? You need to have money for other things. You should purchase if that's your goal.
Yeah.
Right? If your goal is you want to buy and you want to get in and buy real estate in Southern California, then do it. If it's comfortable with the mortgage payment. Yeah.
Yesterday.
Because again, prices aren't going to go down, and even if they do, it's still going to be. We're still going to be in the same rate situation we're in, right? Because people, like the whole bubble thing, right?
Yeah.
Oh, a bubble's going to burst. Well, if the bubble's bursting, that means something is happening in the economy, right? Like a recession. That means people are losing their jobs.
Yeah.
That means, that's not a good situation to be in. It's not a healthy situation. It's great for investors to scoop up properties. But if we're having a big bubble bursting, that's not good for the general person who's working and buying homes.
And what a lot of people think is, okay, that's like, if the rates stay high, then the prices will go down. But if the rates drop, the prices go up.
Yeah, you're creating more demand.
So you're actually, so when the rates go down, then the prices shoot up again. So you're really, and we've been trying, I've been building a lot of content on that, but like showing them, like you think, and then the payment really is almost the same, but it's one of those things, it's like a mental, when people see like $599 versus like
and we just
600.
saw that happen. It was, rates were down at 3%, but prices went up $300,000.
Or people were putting an extra 40, 50,000, especially out here. Like in Texas, I licensed in a couple states, but Texas was like 20, 30,000 over, and California was like 40 to 100.
Oh yeah.
So
easily, So
and everybody waiving.
Waiving. Waiving
I don't agree with that.
appraisal.
Do you not? Maybe appraisal, but not the inspections.
Not the inspection.
That was huge, right?
Yeah. Waiving your inspection.
Did you have a lot of clients that waived that?
I didn't have a single client waive their inspection.
Okay.
I would not.
I
was like, I will not be a part of this team for waiving your inspection, right? Because that could come back on you, right?
And it comes back, but I've heard a couple horror stories from that time.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely shortened everything, and appraisal.
Because then you don't get to know. Like the inspection is the one that it's not tied to your loan.
Yeah.
So whatever comes back on that.
Yeah,
it doesn't affect anything. Well, the appraisal does, but the inspection, no. But it's optional for them. But you guys definitely push to that.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, in the crazy times of just trying to get your client's offer accepted among 25 offers, it was, you're offering a 4-day inspection window, and you made sure that your inspector could go that next day, hopefully. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of inspections.
It was so gnarly back then, I know,
crap I've seen in these homes, some of these homes,
like
over the years. Oh my gosh, get the inspection.
100%. I tell them too, because you just never know what's going on in those walls.
Behind the walls, under the
walls,
tub.
Yeah, my best friend, they purchased in Chino, and they had like where their bathtub was.
Yep.
Yeah, so I don't know how long it came after, but and then they had to take care of it. So
crazy.
It's like gnarly. And then what would the advice be for your sellers?
So
do you
sellers,
do mostly listings?
I do. Last year I did majority listings.
Like what do you think in this market? Like where is their standpoint?
So sellers right now, mostly the people that are selling, like we talked about, are death, divorce, moving out of state. It's a need. It's like, I have to sell.
I have to.
But I really think that, like you mentioned earlier, sellers are going to be like, okay, we need to make our move now, right?
Yeah.
Like, yes, our rate, we have a 3% interest rate. That's amazing. But maybe they've really needed to downsize. Maybe they really need to upsize, and they don't see rates going down anything significant or prices dropping anything significant. So I think we're going to see, my prediction is we're going to see better inventory this year, because it's just people facing the facts of rates and prices.
Just like this is,
similar.
I throw out my hands.
Yeah, similar to the buyer side. Is just this is what it is. These are the rates we're at. These are the prices we're at.
And you just got to make moves.
Make the move that you need to make. I do think, sellers still have it great in Orange County. It's been a seller's market for years, and you list a property and it's priced well, it's gonna sell, even with the rates they are. There's still buyers ready and willing to buy those properties.
I'm still hoping, like if we get down to the 5%, that's gonna create where we can stay there for a while, because then all the people are going to list, because they'll be able to go from a 4% to a 5% and have affordable. I follow one of like the top economists on social media from like Housing Wire.
Okay.
And one day I asked him, I was like, look, is it possible? Okay, because he does like, hey, ask me questions.
Nice. Yeah.
And I'm like, is it possible for this year, for like 2025, like is it possible at all with all the numbers that we could be in the 5% by like the end of the year and like stay there?
Yeah.
And you know, he threw a lot at me, but basically there's like 3 main things that, you know, would have to, would, like he said, each of these 3 things in order to get there. So it's kind of like, so you're saying there's a chance. You're saying there's a chance. So I'm going to stay optimistic and think that we can get there, but
I would love to see that.
Yeah,
I hope you're right.
to see that.
I hope you're right.
I was like, I don't know what all those 3 things mean.
Yeah.
But if there's
5%.
a chance, 5%. At least in the 5%, because then, and we saw it a little bit in August or...
So,
he dropped it in September, but honestly, it was already, I think most of the sales and everything were August, because we had already lowered, the
rates.
the 50 bips before the feds already did it. All the lenders already lowered them.
It was just from them signaling they would.
It was,
right?
So once they do that, so it was actually our pricing actually went up a little bit because we cut it more than he actually cut it. So it was actually the grab was to do it the month before.
Right.
That's why you gotta be. That's why you gotta be with your people. So we'll get you in those windows, because just because it seems like this is the time, if everybody's doing it, that's usually never the time. You got to be prepared before. But
absolutely.
Well, Kevin, thank you so much for coming in. Thank you for joining me. We're gonna, for all the veterans out there, this is your guy. We're gonna have all the information below. If you were looking to set up your new career when you get out. Done with active duty, and also to me, you know, we'll have all that information, maybe set something up to educate our veterans. And to anybody else looking in Orange County, feel free to like, share, subscribe, comment below, and I will have all of Kevin's information.
Thank you. Thanks, Tiff.